Gaffer, a frustrating evening. Where did we fall short tonight?
I think overall, we just couldn't quite find our normal rhythm to our game that we're so used to seeing, especially at home. And ultimately we've gone behind in the game to a set piece, which can happen, but we just couldn't find enough of our normal fluidity to create, pressure and chances and get those goals back.
Would it be too easy to put that down to 10 changes and 3 debutants?
Yeah, I think it was obviously largely to do with that. You could see we weren't, quite ourselves, and that's normal when you make 10 changes and 3 players that are, just making their debut for the club. So there was a lot of moving parts, a lot going on there, and that absolutely contributed to what we've seen tonight. Despite that, I still think there's a disappointment from the players because they know that we can play better regardless of all that, and shouldn't be looking at using excuses when we've had a result like this, but it can happen.
We started the game brightly enough and seemed to have Port Vale penned in. Did we allow them back into the game? Been a little bit loose?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were, our connections, our passes, we weren't as quick onto the ball as we normally are. A little bit of our intensity wasn't there. They broke away a few times, got up the pitch, set pieces, and then they get their goal, and that gives them something to hang on to. That's happened before, but normally we can find the answers to those questions by putting pressure on them, creating chances, and then get the goal or two that we need. But tonight, despite the fact that they sat in, for the rest of the game, we just couldn't find those chances.
Have you picked the bones out of the goal? Have you looked at the details again?
Yeah, it's a second phase from a corner. We had a few that they were looking threatening from, despite having quite a big team ourselves in this particular fixture. It was a second phase of a corner, which we don't defend well enough out wide and let the ball come in too easily, which is the first thing. And then obviously we're pretty loose with our organisation in the box, and it's an easy goal from their point of view and a really disappointing one from ours. So
much approach play in that second period. You've made changes to go and get ourselves back level. Is it just that little bit of invention, a bit of craft in the final third?
Yeah, definitely. I think we were just lacking. Again, were really resolute. They had something to hold on to. We're trying to create gaps in their back line. Didn't think we were making enough forward runs as we normally do to make incisive passes in between them and low crosses and really put the pressure on. It was a little bit too slow, and I think we need to quicken the game up when it's like that, and with the ball and without the ball with our runs. So it was a little bit too slow, and we couldn't change gear enough to create the chances.
And yet it was an opportunity tonight for 10 of those changes to come in and stake a claim. Is that the disappointment? Not enough of them have given you a headache?
Yeah, probably. I think from their point of view, they'll be frustrated. It is hard when you're out coming in, and you haven't played a lot and suddenly you have to come in. But that's why they train. That's why they're prepared. That's why they're focused every day, ready to go. So I think there's an element of disappointment in there, a big element of it, because some of them know that this was their chance to really, impose themselves and show everybody, not just me, what they can do. But wasn't to be, and we have to accept that and try and learn from it.
You've been asked there on Lewis Kumas and his contribution. He said pretty relentless in his pressing. He goes and goes, and he went right to the end tonight and kept going on to the end.
Yeah, he's a player that I like. Players like that, that have that will and desire to run, press, and work for the team, and he gets the crowd off their feet with his intensity. I thought he did that well. You can see he's a threat with the ball. Can go both ways. He's quick. He's got an eye for a pass. So no, I thought he was the bright spark of the evening, definitely.
2-day turnaround now, so full eyes and focus on Leicester City.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big challenge for us now. Obviously, they've had a free week and everything else leading into it, but we have to now make sure that we galvanise everything we can, get together, have a huge push. It's been a really good start to the season, no doubt. Regardless of this result, what we need to try and do is just get everyone together now and have one big final push before we reach that international break.
Thank you, Gaffer.
Thank you. Cheers.